corporate social responsibility. That's when there's an expectation, either by the company itself or by the community around it, that the corporate needs to pay attention to more than just work, 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 profit, 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 that you're part of a community and should engage in community activities. Some organizations allow employees to go take time off of work while they're paid and go do different activities on behalf of the corporation in their name. Now, there's some positives to that and some negatives to that. Are you really rewarding the stockholders to sit down and have people that you're paying money to? You may have tens of thousands of dollars out there being put on projects that don't directly benefit the bottom line of the profit. And if the shareholders object to it, the CEO may lose their job. But let's look at a couple different aspects of it. One is the traditional method, really by the legendary economist Milton Friedman. And a lot of his philosophies about the economy really still hold true today and are practiced rigorously on a regular basis. He said this: there is one and only one social responsibility business: to use its resources and engage in activities designed to increase its profits, so long as it stays within the rules of the game, which is to say, engages in open and free competition without deception or fraud. Milton Friedman. That's a big deal, that you should only do the work to make your company successful. That's it. You have other issues out over there. Sometimes when people spend time doing the wrong thing, you have people like Harry over here. He went out and he was what we call a whistleblower. A whistleblower, and I have to tell you, let me tell a little bit more about the whistleblowers. The problem is that if you're one of those people that says, this is wrong, 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 you may be right, and out you go. You may have a hard time getting a job after that. I'm being serious about it. Once upon a time, I had an individual come to me. He was a union leader, and I was determined to sit down and do something over here. He said, you need to be careful, because listen to me, listen closely. He says, right you are, and out you go. Well, he was speaking as my personal friend and colleague, that sometimes when you take a solid stand, you need to see what that stand is going to end up being. A lot of times, true whistleblowers, when they get up and they rant and they rave about this is wrong, 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 and there's black and it's white, and you have to take a stand, and there's no gray area in the middle. Okay, sometimes you polarize yourself so far out of the mainstream and reality that you're really treated like a pariah or somebody that is not wanted in any social circles because of your strong stance in the process. I think sometimes we need that to have a good, solid conscience, but the reality and the impact that you may have on your career pathway may be forever damaged in the process over there. You find that a lot of whistleblowers that go and they go on stage making a big squeak about whatever they're in, that a lot of times are almost unemployable because nobody wants them in their organization, and they'll never say it out loud because that would be wrong. But that being said, sometimes it's really difficult. How to blow the whistle: decide carefully and quickly. Make sure you have all the allegations filed with the agencies. Follow your allegations with as many agencies that are appropriate. Gather your information legally. Stick with the facts and don't exaggerate. That's how you blow the whistle. So, corporate social responsibility: does the business have a concern for the welfare of society? Okay, based upon a commitment to integrity, fairness, and respect. And some feel that this is not necessarily the manager's role. Proponents argue businesses owe their existence to the societies as a whole that they serve, and cannot exist in societies that fail. So therefore, there is a role for a corporation to support society. That's a philosophy of some. Others, business is there to make a profit. Companies with good reputations that are ethical, they attract and retain better employees, draw more customers, and enjoy greater employee loyalty. Frankly, let me tell you, it's somewhere during this course of this Management One class, I'm going to show you some of the most respected companies in the world. The fact that I have a slide that says that means that there are ratings over there. And you'll see when we come to that, you'll see that these companies, that we value them as a society to the point that that ethical consideration is a big deal in our purchasing of the products, even though sometimes we sit down and they kind of vary away from what we view as ethical behavior. They do such a good sales job in saying we're ethical, 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 that it seems to sell it to us on a regular basis. There's corporate philanthropy that includes charities. There's corporate social initiatives, enhancing philanthropy that really relates to the company's competencies. There's companies out there that you buy a pair of socks from us, we send one to somebody else that needs it. There's merit to stuff like that, and that does draw a lot of people's attention because not only when you buy this, you're helping them make a profit, but also you're helping somebody else in need at the same time. There's merit to that, and we like it in the process. Corporate responsibility, everything from hiring minority workers or safe products. One of the greatest corporate responsibilities that really started the whole ball rolling for corporate responsibility was there was somebody in the Chicago area that took Tylenol and they were putting poison into the actual capsules and it killed several people. Nobody knew where it came from, and they finally pointed on the Tylenol. Tylenol is sitting there with millions of bottles of their product on shelves across the entire world. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? They didn't know what to do. So finally, they made a decision. They recalled all of their products. We're not talking 1,000. We're not talking about 10,000. We're talking about millions of bottles across planet Earth. They literally didn't make any profit for a long time as they recalled them back. They brought everything back. They threw out all the pills and then they remanufactured it and they made it really with tamper-proof packaging. Now, the result of that decision all those years ago is that when you buy anything of any kind of a product, you'll see a lot of times you open the bottle up after you peel off a box that's already been sealed. You open the box that's been sealed, and inside is a bottle that's sealed. It's vacuum packed. Once you get that plastic off of it, then you have to wrestle with the childproof cap. And then on the inside, you have another wrapper on top of it. And finally, by the time you remove 4, maybe 5 wrappings, there's your product over there, and it's safe because by golly, it's a hard time to figure out once you own it, let alone secretly do it inside of a store. That's called corporate responsibility, and they took it so seriously, it really raised the bar for all corporations. And by doing that, Tylenol became one of the most respected corporations in the world because of their competency and willing to sacrifice profit over the safety of their product. They didn't do anything wrong. It was a nasty SOB out there who really is hopefully spending eternity in a very hot place that just decided to go ahead and try to kill people with an innocent product by putting stuff inside the bottle. It was awful and everything else. It wasn't anything about Tylenol, but they responded well and earned the respect of the entire planet Earth in the process, and their sales skyrocketed after that, even though it was already a good product. That corporate responsibility set the bar. So looking on the aspect, negative news impacts customers' views of companies. Getting 3 stars out of 5, that doesn't help anybody. And a lot of companies, they allow employees to volunteer and help with social agencies on a regular basis to help them. Over here, you see public employees, they're planting garden for homeless shelter during what they call Public Service Day. It's an annual event where they have their chain partners. They help more than 135 different nonprofits out there. Frankly, all this stuff, they take the cameras out there. The people are involved. People are grateful in the process. They see those public's green shirts out there to helping. A lot of time, the public employees, they'll sit down and they'll do additional community stuff after this one day because they enjoy the aspect of helping the community. It makes everybody look good, feel good, and it does make a difference in that moment of time. Starbucks, they have a whole aspect of it. The South American coffee crops, they're dying from coffee leaf rust. Well, they went out and they did 2 things. Number one, they're losing money. Their prices are going up. So people stop buying Starbucks coffee. So really, I'm going to go help the world over here. Yes. Well, they're helping themselves too, but nobody knows about that in the process. So we all pretend that this is a noble effort. No, it's a self-serving noble effort, but you know what? It is a noble effort because it really helped everybody, especially because if you go back and examine the very first slides we talked about in chapter 1, you have a lot of developing countries of people in the lowest social economic strata sitting down harvesting coffee beans. Starbucks helped them by helping themselves. Kind of a win-win, and so a win for us too. Harmless harvest. coconut water, only coconuts ethically harvest, process, and package, and they have standards that define what ethically means. You'll see a whole series of things from Zipline International. You'll see Pepsi, Panera, McDonald's, and so on. You'll see all these over here in the process as to what they're doing on corporate social responsibility efforts. Something to be really proud about if you're buying that product. And sometimes that affects our decision whether or not to buy that product or this product over here. President Kennedy started out way back in the 60s that consumers have the right to safety, right to be informed, the right to choose, and the right to be heard. That's what he laid out over there. So you see that, and that standard really has come through all these years later. Social media, a lot of times with the companies, they communicate on the corporate social responsibility, what they're doing. You'll see that, and they live a lot of expectations on there. When you're doing this type of things for business, discuss things that are relevant to your industry. Think about your message before posting. Deleted tweets can still be found, so be careful what you say. Offer new encouraging content, and don't get out over here on the don'ts. You're better off as a corporation. As soon as you step into the world of politics, you will polarize people away from you and or have political rants. And these kind of issues are not your corporation's business to do. A lot of CEOs are being fired nowadays for their aspect of DEI and ESG process. We'll talk about that at a later date. But don't impulsively either, and don't let your account lie dormant. Talk about things that are relevant to your client base that's interested in what you're doing. Insider trading is another thing of corporate responsibility. We talk about insider trading a lot of times. So if you look on even our highest levels of government, you have a lot of people in Congress and the Senate, they're doing the equivalent of insider trading. I'm going to pass this bill over here, but before I do, I'm going to buy stock over here because this will go up over here. I don't know how that's not different than insider trading. It sure seems to be unethical to me when you roll into Congress making $40,000 a year on a job, and that Congress itself pays $150,000, and you roll out 10 years later as a multimillionaire. I don't know how that happens unless something strange like this is happening over here. But that being said, I'll let you handle that. The issue here is about business and the insider trading, about the unethical part of it, what can happen. You'll see over here, one of the largest insider trading schemes in history, managed a large portfolio and made a whole series of legal changes over there. I'll let you read that on your own. It's out there, and the opportunity is out there an awful lot. Corporate social responsibility to employees, okay, create jobs and to have a chance for upward mobility, really treat employees with respect. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes organizations, including colleges, will have the separation of, I am this over here, I am this over here, and you'll have that. So treat everybody that you work with respect, no matter what your level or where you're at in the process. Offer salaries and benefits, help them reach their goals. And really the loss of employee commitment and confidence comes with a loss of actually faith in the overall mission of the organization. Wages and benefits are a big thing. So by the time you're all done, Costco is here, is certainly a big example, especially here in California. It almost seems that if you live in California, you need to have a membership at Costco. That's my perception of it. But the reality is, they have a huge health plan. There's people that are there for decades and join the work overall because of some of the positive things they have going. So businesses, sometimes the green movement are focusing on the carbon footprint. And I want to go back to that is sometimes that carbon footprint can actually help you financially, especially when we go back and talk about that Paris Accord I mentioned previously, and $131 trillion that's out there, hopefully be spent by governments by the year 2050. A lot of money there, a lot of renewability. CSR, corporate social responsibility, companies now are taking action and people like it. If they like it, your product may succeed. So that being said, I don't know about Milton Friedman's philosophy. Yes, it's to the bottom line, but if people like it and they're coming to your product because they like it and they're buying your product, it seems that they're one and the same thing. Corporate social responsibility. You make the decision. Take care.